Hello and welcome to Ecology 3. Today we are going to talk about nutrient cycles. I told you it was going to be good, and now you get to see how good it is. So get excited, maybe pop a little popcorn, get ready for the show. All right, so nutrient cycles. Think cycles, of course, nutrient meaning food or sustenance, things like that, and cycle. It's going to go round and around and around. So keep that in mind. All right, now this cycling maintains homeostasis, which is that balance. Remember, homeostasis is that equilibrium. So we need that equilibrium in the environment, and you got to be able to cycle things through. And we want to talk about the three different cycles that we want to investigate. These aren't the only three, but these are the three that we're going to look at. Of course, the water cycle, the carbon cycle, and then the nitrogen cycle. All right, so water cycle. These four: evaporation, transpiration, condensation, and precipitation. So these four in order, not necessarily in order, but these four are part of the water cycle. So let's take a look at them in a little more detail. Great picture. Oh, isn't this great? I wish I would have drawn it myself, but you can recognize what the things are in there, and so clearly I did not draw it. All right, so here we have a precipitation. That's rain or snow or anything falling out from the sky. Well, except bird poop or something. But all right, so the clouds, precipitation, you can see it goes into the water sources or on land, and then you have evaporation, which that water evaporates and goes back up into the atmosphere. You have condensation, where once it evaporates, it condensates, it all clumps together in one spot in the clouds, and then of course the precipitation. So that's the one that people typically know is precipitation, evaporation, condensation, and so it just continues on. But this one right here I want to focus a little attention on briefly. It's called transpiration, and notice it's around this tree. Transpiration is water that leaves out of a plant, and so it's kind of like evaporation, but it's from the plant. And so transpiration is specifically plant related, and it's water that's lost from the plant and into the atmosphere. All right, now, so that was our water cycle. And so evaporation, transpiration, precipitation, condensation, those four, got to know all four. Now we move to the carbon cycle. Okay, it might be time to get a little snack. Okay, you're back? Okay, good. So we're in the carbon cycle, and here we have photosynthesis and respiration that cycle carbon and oxygen through the environment. Now I want you to think about this for a minute. Think back to your equation to memorize photosynthesis: carbon dioxide plus water. So carbon dioxide, there's carbon, water has the oxygen, and carbon dioxide has the oxygen. So these in photosynthesis, and then cellular respiration is just the opposite, it's putting it back in. So these cycles. All right, so here we have the carbon cycle. We have the CO2 that's in the atmosphere, the carbon dioxide that's in the atmosphere, and remember, anything containing carbon is organic. So we're looking at the carbon in the atmosphere, and of course that's taken in by plants. So for photosynthesis, the carbon dioxide plus water gives you glucose and oxygen. All right, so the carbon dioxide taken in by plants, and then you can see those plants are eaten by primary consumers, your herbivores. Of course, in our food chain, then we have our secondary consumers eating the herbivores, and you see arrows coming out of both of these. And so you have arrows coming out of the bunny and arrows coming out of the bobcat, because they're releasing carbon dioxide as a result of cellular respiration. Okay, there's also arrows going down here because they're going to die, and when they die they're going to decompose, and so there's carbon put back in the system this way too. So it's both through respiration that carbon's put back into the atmosphere, and through decomposition where it's put back into the soil. Okay, and so then of course you can see other ones that go back into the atmosphere are through the plants and giving off the carbon, and then over here, wood and fossil fuels. So there's burning. There's things that we do that put carbon back in to the atmosphere. That's not healthy for the atmosphere. So not everything is good for that cycle. All right. Now, the nitrogen cycle, the third. Now you might want to stop, get another snack. Okay, good. Come on back. All right, so the nitrogen cycle, this is the third big one that we're going to study. Now, this is a very important point because most people think the atmosphere is made up of oxygen, because we always talk about that we're breathing oxygen, but the majority of our atmosphere is made up of nitrogen. Nearly 80% of our air is nitrogen. And so this nitrogen cycle is very important. Organisms cannot use it in that form, though. So we can't use it, plants can't use it, nothing can use it in the atmospheric form, in the N2 form. And so we have to have it converted into usable forms. And this lightning and bacteria, both of them will convert nitrogen into a usable form. All right, so the nitrogen cycle, only in certain bacteria and industrial technologies can fix nitrogen. Now, we call it fix nitrogen because we're fixing it into something that makes it usable. So this process of nitrogen fixation, isn't that a great word? It just sounds so cool. Yeah, today we talked about a little nitrogen fixation. Yeah, throw that one out at the dinner table. That'll get you a little extra dessert. Okay, so nitrogen fixation is where you're going to convert this non-usable nitrogen, atmospheric nitrogen. Remember, you can't use it. And it's going to convert it into ammonium. And that ammonium can be used to make organic compounds like amino acids. And where do we need amino acids? Where do we need them for? Is your brain rolling? Amino acids stuck together through a peptide bond forms you got it right, a protein. Go get yourself another snack. All right, maybe not. Maybe do some toe touches or something. I don't know. But so you're going to take non-usable atmospheric nitrogen and convert it into compounds like amino acids. And again, we use them to make proteins. So very usable at that point. All right, now notice we said nitrogen through nitrogen fixing bacteria is one method. And so this nitrogen fixing bacteria, you find this in these what are called nodules on the roots of plants. So they look like these lumps and on the roots of plants, and they live in a symbiotic relationship. There we go. And they will change the atmospheric nitrogen into usable nitrogen. They live free in the soil, different nitrogen fixing bacteria. So they're not all on root nodules, but there's some that live in the soil. And we even have nitrogen fixing cyanobacteria that are essential to maintaining the fertility of the semi-aquatic environments like rice paddies. If we take that sentence apart, cyanobacteria, that was cyan means what? Blue. So they're essential to maintaining the fertility, so basically keeping it alive, of semi-aquatic. So aquatic is water, but semi-aquatic means it's watery, but it's not like a lake or a pond or an ocean. So it's semi-aquatic because there's plants and animals. Like in a rice paddy, the plants are basically drowning in lots of water. And so you can have nitrogen fixing cyanobacteria in that environment as well. All right, so looking up here, nitrogen in the atmosphere, let's watch this cycle. It moves down, so it can go into that nitrogen fixing bacteria in the soil. It goes through that, and here we have ammonium, and then it goes back into nitrification. The nitrates nitrites, nitrates, and then it goes back up into the nitrogen, the atmospheric nitrogen. So you can see that cycle. Here's another one, atmospheric nitrogen with nitrogen fixing bacteria in the root nodules. And then, of course, the animals eat the plants. So here's the plants. The animals eat the plants, and then they die, and that decomposer goes back to the into the ammonium. And sorry for the phone ringing. I'm not going to answer that for now, just so I can finish the video. All right, so here's the atmospheric nitrogen. So you can see, so through the different types of, so you can have the soil-fixing bacteria, the nitrogen-fixing soil bacteria. You can have bacteria in the root nodules. There's different ways to get those, that nitrogen fixed into something usable. All right. This is a great picture. This really helps to simplify what we just saw. And you can see in the nitrogen cycle all the different things that happen. So just follow along here. You can see the atmospheric nitrogen can be fixed by lightning, can be fixed by nitrogen fixing bacteria, and then just follow them along. It's kind of like a special little game. How fun. All right. Now we have toxins in the food chain. So this process is called biological magnification, where we know that the energy decreases as it moves up in the food chain. Remember, we're going from 100%, 10%, 1%, 0.1% as we continue up in the food chain. But the energy decreases, but the toxins increase in potency. And so they may be sprayed on the plants, and then an animal eats the plants, and then another animal eats the other animal, and then another animal eats another animal, and each time it becomes more magnified in its potency. An example here is this DDT in the bald eagles. The DDT used to be sprayed as a pesticide, and the bald eagles, by the time it reached the bald eagles, it was so devastating to them, and it would soften. Their eggs would not, the shells of the egg would not harden. And so because it would not harden, obviously the baby bald eagles died. They didn't get to develop. And so it was so magnified. So they had to quit spraying it because of the damage that happened to that population. All right, that's all we have. Now the rest of these are going to be, I want you to continue going through and the questions on the PowerPoint. So go ahead and finish going through those. Answer the questions. You can talk together as a group, or you can individually answer those. Have a great weekend. I will miss you, but have a great weekend and wear your seatbelt and hug your mother. Love you. Bye-bye.